Greetings, sentient beings. This broadcast is not intended for children. There will be strong language and adult themes. So, just Mage and I here today so far. So,
Yep.
anyone else who wants to jump in, I sent a bunch of links out. If you didn't see a link, let me know.
Not too much going on and with me here today at the moment. Went out to take care of my garden. It was raining, so wasn't really much to do out there.
Uh, yeah, I saw your video on the Buckingham Palace.
Yeah.
That was quite interesting. I never realized it was nearly that large.
Yeah.
What did you say? Something like 62 acres?
That's hectares.
Oh,
Is in different measurement.
I'm not
The
sure how much a hectare is.
I actually put the conversion on screen when I was doing it, so I'm trying to remember.
I was
About 40 acres.
Yeah, I think I was more listening to it, and I wasn't really watching so much.
Yeah. Yeah. Usually when I have when I have a number in there, I'll try and put the conversion up as well. So if I
It's
say
a good policy to do, even if it's just a matter of between US and metric units.
yeah, that's usually what I'm doing it for. Like if I say inches, I'll try and put the close equivalent to in centimeters or something.
Oh, Stool is asking for a link to your video.
Yeah, let me get that.
Yeah, I have not looked at the fundraiser myself this morning. Well, that wasn't what I meant to do. Shug. Sorry, I'm not doing really well today, so I'm probably going to be pressing a lot of wrong buttons here.
Well, you've had a lot on your plate. How's Slothgurl doing?
About as well as can be expected, but yeah.
Well, it's all relative when you're doing in chemo, so.
Yeah, well, and that's, this is still, she's only been doing chemo for a couple of weeks, so, everything feels strange still. And I suppose once it becomes more routine, things will settle down a little bit.
Maybe I'll get used to it a little bit, but you're still gonna have those ups and downs.
Yeah, well, it's never going to be good, and there's definitely going to be a lot of days that are just not going to be good for her.
I mean, that's just the nature of chemo.
Well, it's the whole point of the chemo is we know she's dying, and the chemo's just trying to slow down the process.
Hmm.
Although, they did tell her that there were like two ways to do the chemo, and that one was a bit easier, and one was going to be the hard way. And based on how fast things were growing, she elected for the hard way, which I think was probably the right choice. But
Yeah. So what's today's topic? Day, coloring day.
Yep, coloring day.
I don't
Which
know anything.
I was glad to just find something lighthearted for today. So when was the last time you actually took out your crayons?
Quite a while ago. I remember actually using crayons in college drawing courses.
Yeah, I was never very good with any kind of drawing or art stuff, but I played with it. Actually, in high school, I made some posters that were more like kind of like tracing things on an overhead slide and
Mm.
kind of modifying existing drawings. I couldn't do anything from scratch, but modifying drawings and compositing things from different pictures. All that stuff that you can do in Photoshop these days, but when I was in high school, we didn't have those kind of things.
Yeah, I was more into charcoal and graphite.
Yeah. Well, when I was doing that, I was coloring a lot of them in with oil pastels,
I
which are basically just, kind of snooty crayons.
yeah. I did a lot of water. I did some watercolor stuff too. The pastels were pretty good. Those were fun to play around with.
Yeah. I do keep colored pencils on hand, and for me, that's more like I do, I do drawings like basically like blueprints for stuff I'm going to build in that. So mostly it's handy to have the colored ones around to just show different things in different colors so I don't get so confused.
Mm,
But sometimes just coloring with them and the pencils get better control than crayons.
yeah, I like the oil pastels because you actually kind of smear and blend stuff in with your finger.
Yep. Hey Angie. Angie says I like markers. They're non-edible. Well, and as a parent, I thought one of the greatest ideas was when they started making soy-based crayons because we know kids are going to eat them, so we might as well make them nutritious.
I usually take my crayons and melted them down into candles.
Yeah, actually, I did a lot of that too. I used them for coloring candles. I had a period that I was into candle making, and that in itself is a fine art in a lot of ways too. When you really get into it and find out the ways to adjust the consistency of the wax and such to get different burn rates and that you can't make all candles out of the same kind of wax. That pillar candles and tapers, you need to change the wax so that they, each burn completely without just flickering out.
Yeah, my mom had a whole kit for making candles. Actually, I have this bust of a. It's actually a woman's head that she made for my grandparents or her mom and dad. I got it after my grandmother died. It's pretty elaborate.
I do a little better with sculptures than I do with drawing. Again, way back in high school, I had actually made Slothgurl a little statue of a unicorn that I made a armature out of copper electrical wire and covered it over with wax.
Yeah, that's basically what this head is. It's a wax head.
Oh, shit back.
No, aren't you supposed to smell those? I mean, no, don't do that.
Actually, they do make scented ones because they know that people are going to do that.
Yeah, I used to have a set of scented ones when I was little.
Although, if you're trying to get the effect, screw the markers. You got to get yourself some of that model airplane dope.
There
The
you
stuff they
go.
use for skinning the remote control planes. Yeah, yeah. I did a dragon sculpture and skinned it with that once. And 7 hours without a break in an unventilated basement. Yeah, I
Oh
could
boy.
barely walk up the stairs. Oh, yeah, get my. Mm.
Uh, toilet.
Angie, I popped a link out there if you wanted to come in. Oh, hey, Doc. Haven't seen you
Greetings
in
and
here in quite a
salutations.
while.
Hey,
Yes, indeed. No colors anymore, I want them to turn black.
and that's all we can sing of
Oh, yeah.
that.
No,
Oh,
I have a marker story.
All right.
Back in the day, they had these markers that had the smell, and you could get kind of high off of them. They've really tamed them down over the years, but back in the day, back in the 80s, so I had
Yeah, I remember that.
I had a Batman action figure, and I had one of these markers, and it was a red marker, and I was like, I want a red Batman. I want to see what a red Batman looks like. So I spent like 2 hours markering up this Batman, and by the time I was done, I was so sick.
yeah.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah, hey, Dave.
Howdy.
Hi, Dave.
Howdy. How you folks doing?
Not bad.
Okay. How's it going for you?
I'm just putting off making another video.
Well, speaking about videos, I watched your video on making avoidance your bitch, and I thought that was rather interesting because that's basically what I do in my garden. The stuff that you described in that video is basically how I tackle my garden. I just do one task and just focus on that one task. And then I have other tasks I can do, but they're not. I don't have to get to them if I don't want to.
Right.
I was actually thinking about making a video basically describing what you described in your video for gardening. So I thought that was really interesting.
Do it. Absolutely.
Oh, now everybody's showing up.
Hello.
Hello, Jeff
Hello, Jeff.
and Steph.
Hello.
Jeff and Steph. What the F?
How's that for timing?
Yeah, like I think I mentioned, I found in that rum that you recommended, Jeff. It was Pussers, and
Oh yeah.
Actually, it tastes sort of like brandy to me.
Well, it's nice stuff, mate. It really is.
It's not bad.
I don't know what blackleg is as far as strikes there.
I don't know. Maybe that's more of a British term, but it's similar sort of thing for scab labour.
Yeah, I assumed it's another Briticism.
Yeah. Yeah, we were out. We were halfway through a 48-hour. Am I getting an echo?
Yeah, we got an echo from you.
That for me? Or... Shouldn't be.
Well, I didn't hear it
Okay.
until you were speaking, but that doesn't necessarily mean it came from you.
Okay, I can hear it now, but
Yeah, it sounds better now.
okay, yeah, we were halfway through a 48-hour strike, and then it got called off. We got called off halfway through because the Queen popping her clogs. So, So now it's like everyone seems to have forgotten about what in this country seems to have just been forgotten what was going on a week ago.
Well,
yeah, unfortunately, that's how it so often goes, especially with the news cycles we've got.
Well, a major political figure they're dying tends to divert everyone's attention.
Look, listen. I mean, I've kept relatively quiet throughout the whole thing because people know I'm not a monarchist. I'm very much in the minority, I suppose, in my country there. But it's. I'm not being funny. It's been like almost 6 days now, at 24/7. Stuff all over the television. It's and I mean, it's getting to a point where it's mourn porn now. It's getting quite disgusting.
Oh, I know what you mean. Just anytime a single story takes over everything 24/7.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, yeah, you can acknowledge that this is important, and yeah, a lot of people need to know about this, but does it really need to be constant?
Mm.
Yeah, and it's not going to help the Queen any.
No, it's like nothing's really changed, honestly.
Right.
It's, I mean, nothing of real significance has changed.
I mean, no disrespect intended at all, but like you said, I mean, she has passed, and that nothing's changed there. You know.
Yeah.
She's just as passed as she was a week ago.
Yeah. Well,
exactly.
and it's not like you have a major government shakeup because of it or anything either.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Well, I think she got one look at her new prime minister and said, "That's it. I'm out of here." Personally, but
she's like, "I'm out of here."
Breaking news: the Queen is still dead.
One Liz in, another Liz out. So there we go.
Actually,
Somebody had.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, actually, this will probably be better if I try to go to Twitter and find the picture and then explain it. So go ahead.
She was
This'll take
definitely
me a minute.
a very amazing woman, that's for sure.
Okay, now we have literal crickets.
Dave, your pet cricket
That's
sounds
me.
cute.
I cannot kill them.
Hope you don't mind if I try to talk to it.
Let me see if I can. That help any?
No, I just thought it was funny that we have a literal cricket.
Yeah, I'm trying to get rid of them. Yeah, particularly when you're trying to make a video and you got crickets in the background.
That's how Buddy Holly came up with the name for his band. They were practicing in a garage and they kept picking up a cricket on the audio track that they couldn't get rid of. Hey, Phoebe.
I remember I released a bunch of crickets into the house once, let the cat chase them.
That sounds like a mistake.
Actually, it worked out pretty well.
Did you actually get all of them?
Yeah. Well, they weren't breeding. They were all the same sex, so they didn't have to worry about that.
Yeah, but still, it'd always be one or two that got into a place the cat can't reach.
Yeah, I've got mouse traps down all over the place to try to catch them.
You got some big crickets then.
You might catch some mice, but I don't know if you'll catch any crickets.
Well, actually, I have caught one, but his partner is still at large.
So what in God's name are the six of us doing on this stream?
You're just bullshitting.
Well, the UK seems to have gone slightly over the top about a box carrying a dead body.
I'm glad I'm not the only one who's getting tired of the born porn now.
Well, I hated it to start with. I'm not only a Republican, I'm an anti-monarchist.
Oh, anyway, so there we go, Phoebe. Something you and I agree on.
A box with a dead body in it. And everyone's shutting the country down. Britain to grind to a halt on Monday.
There's one thing that I just don't understand, and this is very common throughout the world, but why would you want to look at a dead body? What's with the viewing thing? I think that's disgusting and
but here's the thing. You don't get to see said dead body. You just get to see a royal standard draped over a box containing a dead body.
Yeah, we're not quite.
Which we should have on screen now.
North Korea. Here.
We're not quite at. We're not quite at sort of like Chairman Mao or Lenin yet. No, we're not quite at that level.
Oh, good. Thank goodness.
All I can say is hopefully this will piss off enough people that people will start to say, well, what the fuck are we paying all this shitting money for?
I have to
Don't anybody try to tell me that these leeches are value for money and that they bring in tourism. Don't you dare bring up that shite with me, because I will find sources that will eat you alive.
Yeah, as I understand it, King Charles is one of the richest men in the world.
King Charles was trying to make people redundant on the day that his mother was taken
Oh,
from one
yeah.
day to the other.
Oh yes, I saw that. I saw that story that went today because it went largely unreported. But yeah, they laid off 100 staff or whatever.
Well, yeah. Also, I found out something really disgusting. A friend of mine is a teacher, and they've been told to speak in somber voices and not wear anything that's got patterns on it, and to wear dark colours, and to cancel all school trips, and sporting events are to, be held somberly and stuff. It's like, Jesus, you really are sycophants.
I just have to revisit one thing real quick. Did I correctly hear Jeff say mourn porn?
It is mourn porn.
Yeah,
that is
what it's become now.
Flagellation porn.
That's an awesome term.
I'd love to take credit for it, but I saw somebody else put that up, and I was like, yeah, that's exactly what this is.
There is nothing worse than what this country is doing right now, because this country has shown itself through the establishment to be completely 100% out of touch with reality. This country is going through the highest inflation rate since the 1930s. This country is going to be experiencing the highest poverty rates since the 1850s. And this country has decided to grind to a halt because one of the wealthiest women on the fucking planet has died at the ripe old age of 96. So we're just going to close the country on Monday.
Well,
yeah, I don't get all the stuff I'm hearing about.
I'm actually very impressed.
I'm hearing about corporations that are, shutting things down, and it's like, or just doing things that they think are some type of
restaurants, and all Greg's bakeries are closed on Monday.
Yeah,
Lidl supermarkets, Tesco's, Sainsbury's, Asda's closed on Monday. Food Bank, a company that run food donation and food handout centres, closed on Monday.
What?
Nobody needs to eat Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
bullshit.
the food bank was one of the ones I saw that I was really questioning. It's like, yeah.
I mean, the fact that we have got food banks in this country anyway is already a fucking national disgrace, but,
All I can say to the 7 of you who are now on this call with me, this
7 of us, you have to include yourself in that count.
Anyway.
Yes.
Sorry. Mathematical inaccuracies I can't let go.
Yes, as somebody once said, there are 18 people in the world who know this fact. No, there are 19. You know it as well. You're just person 1. You're just person 0.
That's what I was going to say. Case 0.
Well, look at the bright side. They can't. Nobody. You can't be more out of touch than Americans.
Out of this country. I am so glad I am not in this country on Monday. Come on, then. In you come. Come on.
Bring it.
Bring it,
Stool. Bring
it.
it.
Come on, Stool.
Why we should beatify one family and why I'm a subject because of happenstance of vaginal pushing.
Yep. Stool, I put the link in your group, so I know you can see it.
Stool. I was polite with you yesterday. Today, it's got even worse, and I really cannot stand the sight of this country going down the toilet because one woman has died.
That and Phoebe's tired. She needs a seat.
I would have had money on it being me with having the biggest anti-royalty rant on this stream, but the Phoebe has put me to shame here.
The monarchy should have been abolished 400 years ago and never brought back.
It is a very expensive costume party, isn't it?
Absolutely. It
Yeah,
is
it doesn't
a
serve any function in the
farce.
modern age.
Everybody who says, well, it costs pennies per person, well, guess what? I don't want to pay a single fucking penny to support the lifestyle of some of the most privileged people on this planet.
And not only
You
that,
know,
they own a lot. They're very wealthy on their own.
You would think that for pennies per person, they would have pens that didn't leak.
Did anybody watch the Ascension ceremony?
A bit of it. I actually just got to a point where I was just sick of watching anything to do with it.
So I watched the Ascension ceremony. Prince Charles is a self-absorbed wanker. There were portions of that where he was so rude, it was unbelievable.
Prince
No.
Chucky.
No.
No.
You have to go and sit at a table.
He wishes he was an absorbent tampon.
I'm not going to compare anybody to sanitary products.
Oh my word! There's a reference I never thought I would hear an American make.
I'm not going to compare anybody to sanitary products.
Well, he did himself.
He did.
Himself.
He said something about let's not get into because the thought of it's actually quite
disgusting.
Unsanitary.
There was a portion of the Ascension ceremony where he had to sit at a table and sign some papers. And he was going like this, motioning towards someone else to move because he was too up his own backside.
His Majesty's a bit of a dick. He's a magisterial dick.
I have always loathed the fact of hereditary and inherited power and wealth. Earned wealth, fine. Earned power, fine. If your family has earned and has done stuff to sustain your wealth, fine. But when you are inheriting your wealth because of your status as a bigger army diplomacy winner hundreds of years ago, that is disgusting. I am a subject to nobody. I will never sing the national anthem of the UK, and I will never bend my body because some fanny pushed out some fart.
Okay, so
tell us how you really feel. In America, we call our royalty members of the Lucky Sperm Club.
I think we can assume Phoebe will not be getting an MBE this year. So
MBE MBE. There's three things: your MBEs, OBEs, and CBEs. MBEs, my bloody efforts. OBEs, other buggers' efforts. CBE, community bloody effort.
Well, I'll put you on my honors list for what it's worth.
And
on your honor.
It gets me that this country is grinding to a halt. Just get on with life. There was an MP who stood up on the floor of the House of Commons and said, and I'm quoting them directly, "My partner and I watched the announcement and there was a tear rolling down his face. And my 6-year-old came up to us and took our hands and said, 'Mummy, don't worry, the king will look after us now.'"
Yeah, I heard that story. It's like utter bullshit.
That wouldn't have been the. I was trying to remember which MP said what. That wouldn't have been the MP who was our Prime Minister about a week ago. No, because I did watch his.
I don't know.
Okay,
I got to admit, I did watch his speech, and I thought when he started off by saying, "I have a small confession to make," I'm like, Or are you actually going to admit that you actually lied to the Queen then, or not, about when you prorogued Parliament, or no, of course not.
But here's the thing. There is no rhyme or reason why, other than it's the status quo, that it exists. If this system did not exist, nobody would suggest instituting it. No idiot would suggest instituting it. In France, they don't say, let's get rid of the president and bring back Louis the 99th or something. Nobody says that. America doesn't say, let's bring back monarchy. It just does not happen. Once you abolish monarchy, no sane human being says,
Well,
bring back monarchy.
There was one American that said bring back the monarchy. Trump.
Wallis Simpson. She wanted to be Queen of America.
Well, Trump wanted to. He wanted to be the monarchy.
There is a difference between Trump and the rest of it. Because Trump is a senile old man that can go and take a long walk off a short plank. Surrounded by yes men, and he's got his own cult of sycophants, just like the royal family.
He's got a golden toilet. That's something.
Who's he? Fucking Saul Goodman.
Was it Genghis Khan or Kublai Khan that used to quench men's thirst for gold by pouring molten gold down their throats?
No, it wasn't down their throats.
Mm.
He used to do something called trumpeting.
Oh dear God.
So trumpeting is where you would find that certain gold would be lining your intestines, shall we say.
Sounds fun.
And it would be getting there in the same way that certain things usually exit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So is the other direction.
Yes. Stool, get in here.
Bring it. Bring it.
Come on!
No.
Yes, Stool, imagine how much more wound up you can get if you're actually interrupting.
Imagine how much cheaper your talk would be if you were here.
I've gone on camera with my face and I'm on the internet.
Really? Oh no, there are people actually watching this. Oh my God. I'm so ashamed.
What I will say,
The weird thing, the thing I still find weird.
As to my opinion on this, whatever we're going to call them.
Fiasco?
This would be seen as over the top in a Marx Brothers movie.
Which one, I wonder? I'm trying to think.
Jeff will get this. You wouldn't get away with this in a Carry On movie. If you did Carry On State Funeral, you'd be laughed at if you pitched this.
Well, you know, all things considered, I think they could save a lot of money if they just put the Queen on ice for a little while until they can get a twofer, because Charles can't last too much longer.
I'm trying to think. I think the last president to pass, thank God Jimmy Carter still lives, but it was H.W. Bush, and nobody shut the place down for H.W.
George
Bush.
H.W. Bush was the last one to die.
Yeah.
And his estate paid for it all. They sent him the bill. His estate had to hire National Cathedral. He wasn't just given National Cathedral.
This is true.
I actually wasn't aware of that. I thought as an ex-president that it was paid for by the government.
No, it's not. The
government will pick up the tab for lying in state in the capital or something shit like that, but
that's
not gonna.
That's paid for by Congress. So Congress will appropriate funds to do that for former chief justices and former presidents. But things like the service in National Cathedral, whilst they are organised by the state, so organised by the federal government, and organised by the office of the former president's offices. Well, there you go. Grind to the halt, grind your economy into the ground. Recession, here we come.
Well, I mean, the economy was thriving so well, it can take a little hit now.
Anyway.
It's
No.
worth a parade, isn't it?
Fuck parade.
The parade.
Ceremony and pageantry. Fuck ancient language.
It might as well be a parade.
Okay, I could kind of see a parade that, you know, they have the casket on a horse-drawn coach and drag it through the city to the cemetery. Okay, that part I could go with, but it really doesn't need to be anything more than that.
Here's the thing.
Well,
So, the estate of George H.W. Bush, whilst he set out his 400 pages of what he wanted to happen at his funeral, his estate had to pay for it. It was then organised in accordance with his wishes as far as was practically possible by the federal government. But his estate was sent a bill. So his estate was sent a bill for the train. His estate was sent a bill for the flights of the coffin from DC to Texas and back again and all this stuff. His estate had to pay.
if I recall my British monarchy history properly, I don't believe that there was much expense involved in the internment of Richard III.
He was just chucked in a hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how the hell did they get through the tarmac to bury
Maybe
him?
I think, yeah, I was going to say, but maybe we should just bury her in a car park like they did with
I was
Richard
going to
III.
say, was Richard III the one that they couldn't find for a couple hundred years?
Yes, they found him
Yeah.
in 19.
Where did he wind up? Did he wind up in the York
Oh.
Cathedral or something?
No, he
that where
wound
they
up
stuck
in
him?
Westminster Abbey.
Yeah, okay.
But yes, to anybody listening out there that says, "Oh, the monarchy, they bring in tourism," no, those things would be done anyway. I've yet to see one American tourist go, "I'm only here because the Queen's here," or "I'm only here because the King's here." No, you're here to see royal palaces that would still be there as tourist attractions, whether there was a monarch
Yeah.
there or
How
not.
many
Yeah, I mean,
tourists?
France don't bring back the monarchy just because Versailles gets a lot of visitors, do they? So
Well, here's the thing. I'd still go and have a tour around the Élysée Palace. I'd still go and have a tour around Versailles. I'd still go and have a tour around the Bastille. But, you know, I'd still go there. France chopped off the head of its monarchs a long time ago.
Yeah.
Well,
And they
see,
got emperors and whatnot.
but see, when France did it, it created another tourist attraction. Now people go just to see the guillotine.
No, they should have had the axe that was used to kill Charles I on display somewhere. That would be a tourist attraction.
How many?
I
How
always
many?
wonder.
Go ahead. Sorry, Purple.
Oh, no, just a random thing. But I always wonder that if Jesus had been beheaded, would all the Christians be wearing executioner's axes around?
Probably.
Indeed.
My curiosity is how many tourists take the tour to Lady Thatcher's grave to have a leak.
oh, well, it's
Sorry,
didn't they cremate her? Didn't they cremate her though?
to know. There's a wonderful Elvis Costello song that I recall from around
Tramp
that
the
time.
dirt, tramp the dirt down.
The dirt
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
when England was the
I
whore
do
of the
remember
world.
that song.
When England was the whore of the world, Margaret was her madam. Great.
Yeah, that's that's probably like one of the most like really like, aggressive sort of political songs I think I've ever heard.
Yeah,
Declan
it's just
managed
a
to
vague
escape his
curiosity.
career in the USA.
Well, let's put it this way. There was a big when she died. There was a big campaign to get "Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead" to #1 in the charts, and I think it got officially to #2. But I got a feeling that there was no way they were going to let it get to #1.
Look, I'll discuss it on the shills if you like, Dick. I'll discuss what happens to the dogs on the shills if you invite me on. Self-promotion.
There's a teaser. Yeah.
Oh no! Yeah. So we do know who's getting the dogs.
Yes, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge.
No, the dogs are going to the groomers.
Who are the Cambridges now? Who are those people?
Bill and Kate.
Oh, okay.
Bill and Kate, they're the Cambridges.
And Harry and Meghan are the something or others. Some other.
You know, that must really suck. You know, it's like the richest woman in the country died. You know, your brother gets everything, and oh yeah, you have to take care of her dogs.
Hmm.
There is absolutely one thing that gets me more than anything else.
Now I heard Andrew was getting the dogs. Hence what I mean about going to the groomers.
Mr. Dawson, send me a direct message on the Twitter and we can discuss it more. Look, could we please not discuss royal nonsense on this stream?
Yeah.
What nonsense should we take up at this point?
Well, okay, Dick, if I got them because they were a family member dying, I would feel obligated to take care of them. But I'm with you. I have no interest in any dog that doesn't come at least knee-high on me because I'm just going to trip over the thing.
Corgis are cute, though. I do like corgis.
Yeah, but see, I don't turn on lights when I walk around at night.
Okay.
There is one thing in this whole situation that is worse than anything else. There is, and this is not something which has gone by the wayside, this is something which is still held to be true. The monarchs of this country honestly and truthfully and legally hold that they have the divine right to rule, and that they are personal appointees and anointed directly by God himself.
Yeah. That's actually the biggest problem I've always had
the
with
worst
them.
part of it.
Yeah.
Prince Charles is not defender of faith, he's defender of the faith. And that faith is the one true Anglicanism.
Yeah, the church that one of your kings created because he didn't like the way the church was telling him to do things.
No, but the Pope gave Henry the title Defender of the Faith. He managed to hang on to it.
Yeah,
forever.
originally that was a title that was given to Henry VIII by the Pope because Henry VIII, I forget what it was. He wrote something quite scathing about Martin Luther. So.
Yes. Well,
okay. Let's kind of get back
about
on topic. And should they release a coloring book of the royals?
Only if it's all in shades of brown.
Well, that's the thing. You could color it in however you want. It would just be the black and white outlines.
Can I have the same ethnicity as the Little Mermaid, please?
Yeah, that's
people
another.
losing their minds over that.
Have them as the same ethnicity as the elves in Middle Earth.
Honestly,
people losing their shit out of the degree of melanin in fictional characters
Well, that,
skin as portrayed on the TV is absolutely ridiculous.
Most of the arguments I've been seeing has nothing to do with her skin color. I'm thinking they did that just to deflect any criticism of the crappy movie they're making.
But yeah.
oh,
Look,
I
one
wouldn't
thing.
doubt.
It's basically what
I wouldn't
basically.
doubt that Disney really hyped it up just to get free promotion, but
Yeah, well, I think they're doing the skin color thing just to just so they can fan bait. So basically, oh, you don't like how our movie is? Well, you're just racist. Doesn't even have to do anything to do with the character itself.
But let's
Like
be honest, though, there were people who,
yes, there have been
there
people
were people who
yes,
lost
there.
their shit though when they heard a black actress was being cast.
I think it's dumb. But,
yeah, and apparently because it's not authentic to the character, it's not. Yeah.
Who here has seen Rings of Power?
I have.
Well, that's actually kind
suffers from the same racism.
Well, that kind of comes down to the question: and is this supposed to be an accurate representation of the cartoon character, or is this supposed to be its own thing? Because if it's supposed to be, it's supposed to be an accurate representation of the cartoon character, then they're just race swapping for diversity, and or as I think, and just to deflect criticism into you're racist.
I'm wondering what these people are going to do when they finally work out that Jesus isn't white.
yeah, I'm wondering what would happen to the MAGA crowd if you could really get that message through to them. That Jesus is one of these guys that you will report just for getting on the plane with you.
Yeah.
No, worse yet, Jesus was Jewish.
You wouldn't even get on the plane.
Have anyone ever seen a Dark Matters video where Jesus comes back to an airport and gets thrown in Guantanamo?
I didn't see that one, but yeah, that sounds about accurate. Oh, an urban lad. Hey, there's somebody I don't see in here.
I saw somebody that was trying to wind me up, come in and then disappear again.
Yeah, he popped in briefly and then it said that the device disconnected.
Oh well.
Are we saying Stool disconnected his device?
I think Stool's not liking the amount of disrespect that you're showing for the late Queen, Phoebe. I think that's the problem.
Did you notice how I haven't actually disrespected the Queen herself?
No, you haven't. It's just the institution of monarchy.
I have not said anything bad about her herself. I have not disrespected her death. I have not made fun of the fact that she has died. I have not made fun of any of the families for grieving or mourning. I've not done any of that. Because I am not here to engage in ad hominem because a family has lost a mother, grandmother, etc. And they're entitled to grieve. But what is not entitled to happen is that my country and me are expected to grind our lives to a halt over it.
Fair.
I completely agree with that.
For anyone who hasn't seen his channel, Urban Lad Yorkshire, most of his stuff has been like exploring abandoned buildings. But now he's got an interesting new adventure that he has turned a canal barge into a kind of houseboat that he's living on and going up and down all the canals of Britain.
Can I just say one thing? If any of you in the chat like Purple or Steph, you should head over to my channel and you should watch Season 2, Episode 1 and Season 2, Episode 3, because that's where you can find more of Steph and Purple.
Well.
And that is the
I'll
difference
endorse
between that is the main difference between Phoebe and I, is that I don't know how to do self-promotion.
It's
She's
shameless.
going to start.
It's shameless how
Shameful.
my self-promotion is.
Oh my.
Okay. Now we have the Swan Hunter, but he's muted. There he is.
The Queen broke my computer.
No, King Charles III beheaded it.
Okay, Stool, have you got a TV on in the background or something?
No, but you shouldn't be able to hear that unless... Oh, Queen, I hate you, you fucker. You've broken everything. Fuck.
Well, while Stool works out his potato.
Does anybody else like these?
I think he's working on his noodle right now,
Does
actually.
anybody else like these?
Pickled walnuts?
Pickled
I've never
walnuts.
heard of such a thing.
Stool?
Sorry, Phoebes,
Yeah.
I'm not with you on this one. That's just wrong.
Dude,
Oh, that
Still-
I approve
still-
of, Phoebes. That is literally sex in a jar.
I can get your actual sex in a jar. Whole baby beetroot.
Oh my gosh, I'm so aroused right now.
Yeah, I never cared for beets in any form.
This is the best though.
Oh yeah.
Okay, what exactly is in chutney?
Say again?
What is in chutney?
A chutney is, well, okay. A chutney with mild spices is a concentration of mixtures of fruit, spices, and other similar ingredients to make a thick, paste-like sauce.
Sounds a little bit like jam.
Yeah, so it's like a vegetable jam.
They're not far off.
Or if you like thick and V8.
There we go.
Okay, we're doing the food porn now.
I guess so.
Well, it's better than the kind of porn we were on about earlier.
Yeah,
Okay, well,
sure.
yeah, you know, a burger with cheese, nobody can argue about that. What type of cheese is that you've got?
The one and only. Still, do you
Better.
approve?
Yeah, I'm okay so far.
Yep.
Looking
Oh,
good.
I love a good sharp cheddar. The sharper, the better.
I usually get the extra
Mature.
sharp cheddar.
No thanks. Don't like sharp cheese.
mature cheddar, apparently, is the way.
Because eating
Yeah, well-
adolescent cheddar would be cruel.
Immature cheddar is.
Let it live a little.
Well, basically, the longer it's aged, the sharper it gets.
If it doesn't smell, don't put it in your mouth.
Absolutely. If it's like something really crap, like E-jam, that's like a day old, it's like, what are you doing?
Mozzarella?
Gouda. Gouda is another disappointing cheese.
But it's good. It's good cheese. They named it after the concept of good.
I am a
Well-
big fan, though, of Gruyere. I think Gruyere is an underrated cheese. Most people balk when you say, I'm going to have some Gruyere because it's unpasteurized. And therefore people go, ugh, unpasteurized cheese.
Well, it's got to be better than an American cheese. I almost don't even consider that to be
Monterey
cheese.
Jack.
It's cheese flavored oil.
Well,
Yeah.
Monterey Jack is jack shit.
Okay, you live down in Florida. I'm not even sure where your cheese comes from. I live right in the heart of America's dairyland, so we get some decent cheese here.
You're a Wisconsin person, aren't you?
Well, Minnesota. Wisconsin's just across the state line.
Wisconsin is the
Yeah,
dairy
well,
state, isn't it?
it is. America's Dairyland is Wisconsin's little motto.
Yeah, well,
Good cheese in Vermont. You know,
actually, the
Vermont.
federal government has made that official, you realize. The price you pay for milk in the United States is a formula that is based on how far you are from Eau Claire, Wisconsin.
You do realise that that formula has been ruled illegal.
I'm serious.
No, the
How
formula
much?
was ruled illegal. There was a court case that ruled it illegal. Along with the National Raisin Reserve.
Okay, I did not know that that one had been challenged. I'll have to look that up.
It was challenged along with the National Raisin Reserve.
Natural Raisin Reserve?
The National Raisin Reserve.
Okay, so that had to come up at some point when the California raisins were a big thing.
I'm mystified.
I feel a little sad. Realise I'm kind of old enough that I can remember the California raisins being a thing.
I'm old enough to remember when the California Raisins had their own Saturday morning cartoon.
Oh
I
yeah.
remember that.
What the fuck?
Oh yeah.
I must be
Yep.
too old to remember when the California
Stool in America, we had comic books and trading cards for the O.J. Simpson trial.
Oh! Did anybody get the entirety of the defence team? Did anybody get the whole defence team?
I don't know, but I think it came with chewing gum. I don't know. Or, a black glove.
The prosecution team was quite easy. That was only 4 people.
The only thing that I remember
It-
that was mildly interesting about the OJ trial,
Was that you
apologies
didn't
to
get
younger
free orange.
viewers, was that I was actually in LA when it was happening, and we drove past the courthouse and just laughed at everybody, basically. Oh, fun times. That perhaps is when I almost got arrested.
Or for being O.J. Simpson.
Yes,
Or-
that's totally what happened, thieves. That's it.
Yeah. They mistook you for
O.J.
O.J.
Simpson impersonator.
There is a
Now that
similarity.
you mention it, I do see the resemblance.
Mm-hmm. That's when I went. We were really hungry one morning for some reason. I don't know why. And we tried to go to a McDonald's, which is actually surprisingly difficult in LA if you haven't got a car. And so we improvised and pretended we had a car and joined the queue at the drive-through. And somebody called the cops. And true story, there's 4 of us, I think, me, a passenger, and 3 in the back in an invisible car that doesn't exist. And the cop came and knocked on my window. Not joking. This car doesn't exist. He knocked on my window and I wound it down. It had a handle like this. And he was about to arrest me because apparently imaginary cars are just not appreciated.
It just sounds like the cop didn't have a sense of humor.
It's like the police officer that pulled my partner over once on Easter Sunday, and the first question they asked was, "Madam, do you believe in God?" And she went, "Excuse me?"
That burger is really making me want to eat things. Oh,
I haven't had lunch today.
I was trying to have something here because I was at the point of it being a coin flip of whether eating's going to make me feel better or worse. So, and having my massive salt cravings again, so I'm using a bit of leftover rice to try and soak up half a bottle of soy sauce.
Still, did you ever see that old thing with that?
Insipidus is something worth looking into.
All right.
You ever see that old thing with that comedian Mark Thomas when he went through the McDonald's drive-through?
Yes. Yeah, I remember
We
that.
tried to go. We tried to go through there with a tank and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I've seen that as well.
Yeah.
Was it a tank? Didn't he try to go through on a horse at one point as well?
He tried to bring a cow or something through there. And I remember the clown car on it, and he's trying to say their friends are Ronalds.
Do you remember the horse one?
Oh,
Have you got anything for my friend here?
yeah. It was a horse or a cow he bought through there. I can't quite remember. Yeah,
Anyway, he was on the back of it.
yeah.
Yeah, the cow they probably wouldn't let him get out.
Well, the first thing he did was he went in with his van or whatever and ordered 100 burgers from McDonald's. They put them out in bags or whatever, and he just went down the other end of the car park, opened it up, and started selling burger like it was a burger van.
It was hilariously funny, and it's quite old now, isn't it? But that was a kind of brass eye level of humour that Phoebes and I appreciate, which unfortunately is wasted on most people.
Prices. What the Boz was going to give me.
Mm-hmm. I am slightly concerned about your Shatner's bassoon. Don't eat that too quickly.
I will not end up with checked neck.
Mm-hmm. I just find it to be a terrible shame that, I mean, it's fun having what is now kind of an in-joke because the Americans have literally no idea what the fuck we're talking about. And I think that's a shame because the clever Americans...
You need a mandrill.
The clever Americans would probably find it hilarious.
But here's the thing. You remember that MP who got, stabbed to death last year?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Watch the drugs episode. Watch it all the way through.
What? Say that again?
Watch the drugs episode. Watch it all the way through.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
You stood up on the floor of Parliament and said, I'd like to ask the Minister of State for the Home Department if there are any plans to outlaw cake. Because remember, cake is entirely made up.
I watched the clip the other day. Several times I watched it because it stands up well. It is still hilarious after all these years. I mean, it's about, what is it now? It's got to be 25 years old. Or 30. 30, yeah. But it's still hilarious.
92 it was.
And Perps asked in one of the DM thingies to explain cake. And I didn't answer because it's a difficult thing to explain. And I went and did some Googling and I found some entries on, what do you call it? What's that? What is it? Urban Doodah, whatever it's called. Urban Dictionary or something. But it didn't do it justice. So no, I kept my mouth shut.
So, Jeff, who is your Boz?
My what? Sorry?
Who is your Boz?
I'm sorry, I'm losing the reference.
Or are you a Boz? Or are you the Boz?
You might have to jog my memory on the reference here.
There are so many drugs flooding the streets of the UK, not even the dealers know them all.
Oh, was this
Oh my gosh, Steph's now putting food in her face. What is wrong with you people?
Look, well,
what have you got, Steph?
I'm definitely gonna have to get myself some lunch after the stream.
Roast beef and Swiss,
a quack candle, and some Clarky cat.
Okay. No problem with anybody eating on the stream, but please mute your mic then when you're not talking.
You know,
we have some autistic people in the audience, and apparently it bothers some people.
Oh, is that a thing?
Yes.
I did not know this.
Listening to people chew apparently is difficult for some autistics.
I had no idea that was a thing. Well, I've learned a new thing today. Thank you, Perps.
I'm not terribly fond of it myself. I don't think I'm autistic, but
There's a word
Wow.
for it, and I don't remember what it is. There's a word for being disturbed at the sound of people slurping tea, for example,
Yeah.
or chewing, that kind of thing.
But
It
those
doesn't
things
bother
aren't.
me, and I didn't really think anything of it before. But that's the thing with the spectrum, is that just because I'm autistic doesn't mean that everything that applies to me applies to everyone else.
I need help with this one because, and I'm not doubting what you say, obviously, but Phoebes, oh God, that needs egg. It really needs egg. I mean, I'm not particularly fond of hearing the noises of somebody eating. I think it's rude. That's just me. Oh my gosh, she's got egg. But does that necessarily mean that people with autism, that's some kind of triggering thing? I don't know. Is this a thing that I don't understand properly?
Apparently, it is for some autistics. Like I say, I don't experience that, so I don't fully understand it myself.
it's gross, and I can't stand seeing people's food in their mouth either when they open their food while chewing, or
nobody wants that,
or just to be gross, like they open their mouth on purpose and they're all like, eh, you know.
But that's just common decency, though, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, something about food grosses me out.
That's true.
I don't like porn involving food with sex either. That's just really gross. Just watching people cover each other in syrup and whipped cream, it's just ugh. I'm like, no, that's sticky.
It's called splat.
I'm gonna say it's not one of my turn-ons either. I've got to admit. So
it's an off switch for me.
I'm so tempted to. No, I'll keep quiet because it's Purple Street. I'll get in
trouble. I'm gonna jet so Beck can come in here and eat whatever he's gonna be eating.
Steph,
nice chatting.
Wait. Apparently you are not in the link list I get from Amiga Nuts. So we need to get your links to correct that. So if you could just DM me your links on Twitter, I'll fill them in later.
Can you fill me in, perhaps? What does this mean? I'm nosy. What are you talking about?
You don't know about Amiga Nuts show list?
No.
That's where I get the links for everybody. You know, when I put the links in the description for everyone in the panel. Amiga Nuts maintains a list of everybody in the community and all of their links for, YouTube and Twitter and whatever else they want to put in there.
I'm very aware that Amiga Nuts is totally top of the game when it comes to shilling out the links, but I didn't know there was an official thing.
Yep, and then, when I run across new people, I send them the links to go into the next update.
I was not aware of this. Obviously, I smell and nobody likes me. So if somebody has a linky or something, post it in my doodah.
You do not smell bad enough for me to tell across the pond, so you're okay.
It's going to be very hard for my smell to overpower the smell of the poo that's in our waters. There you go, Jeff. Bit of satire.
Yes. Very good, Stu.
I went into Ben Elton mode there, Jeff.
Oh dear.
Yeah, and urban land is definitely different watching an animal.
So Ben Elton mode, is that where you're funny for a few years and then you just become a total sellout?
Yeah, that's basically me, except for the bit where I don't actually make any money from selling out.
Yeah.
Yeah, the problem with selling out is there has to be somebody who wants to buy.
Yeah, I think Mark Still said it best. He says, "I'm not angry at Ben Elton for selling out because I thought he was a wanker to begin with."
I never liked him, and if I'd have said that in the day, I would have been arrested and thrown in jail. I just didn't think he was very talented.
Ben Elton,
yeah.
No,
you were not allowed to say that back in the 80s.
I'm usually lost when people talk about American celebrities. When you get to talking about British celebrities, forget it. I have no idea who you've been talking about.
Well, see, yeah. Well, this is the thing. If you're not heard of Ben Elton, you won't get the reference. But the plus side is you haven't heard of Ben Elton, so
Ooh, harsh.
you know.
I'll give you
Ben Elton-
a brief summary coming now from Stoolland. Back in the 80s, a thing was invented called alternative comedy, or as we then called it, comedy. So this was us transitioning from the 70s humour. Phoebes will like this. This was us transitioning from the fucking awful 70s humour into kind of the modern day. And Ben Elton, he's famous, or was famous. He was involved in writing certain famous comedy things. He was involved in Blackadder and blah, blah, blah. But we got this show back in 1982. Phoebes will slap my ass if I'm wrong, which was Friday Live, which was our equivalent of your Saturday Night Live. And he was one of the hosts and involved in that. And it was kind of a groundbreaking thing in a way. I don't want to drag this out, but it really was how we transitioned from that fuck awful 70s British humour that was all about racism and sexism and all that shit that we've discussed before, Phoebes, into something a little bit more grown up. There you go. I have spoken. You may all now bow before me and pass me my quill.
No, plebeian. You shall instruct somebody to move the inks away.
I'm so good. If I was in the mood, Phoebes, you and I love you dearly, you and I would have a very light-hearted argument about this, because of course, I respect your opinion. I'm a grown-up, of course I do.
But did you notice how...
And you're allowed to express it. However,
did you notice, though,
you are wrong.
Did you notice, though, throughout my entirety of what I said, though, I only attacked the institution and did not attack the family or the people?
To be fair, I'm not going to dig out the evidence, but I think you may have done. Just saying. And you call yourself a lawyer.
I don't call myself a lawyer. You look on my Twitter profile.
Lawyer. Legal. Lawyer.
If you look on my Twitter profile, it expressly says not a lawyer.
Well, that means nothing. I mean, I can change my name to not a porn star, but whatever. Twitter
you can change yourself to not a swan, but there you go.
One of the quick sidetrack, one of the really not important things that has pissed me off about getting permanently baninated on Twitter and having to fall back to a backup account, which you're not allowed to do, so hopefully Twitter are not listening to this, is that I can't, now that I have less than 1,000 followers, I can't annoy people by changing it to a professional influencer account, because I just found that hilarious to have that in my bio, because I'm not an influencer. Who the fuck listens to me? I'm a dick. I just thought it was funny. But we must schedule potato, a heated debate about this, Phoebes, because I think you've got a sense of humour and you know damn well that I respect everybody's opinion. Unless they're a fucking dick, then they can fuck off.
If you are the kind of person that thinks that British Airways is the best airline, then we're going to have problems.
I'm not. We will not be having said problems, Phoebes.
Good.
Do not worry.
British Airways is the best airline except for all the others. That's kind of where I stand on that.
I'll tell you what British Airways is the best at. British Airways is the best at losing lawsuits to Richard Branson.
Yeah.
Paige makes a good point there, actually, and that sums it up nicely, because British humour up until 1982 was pretty much what is being said there. Potty humour.
It was
even worse than that. It was racist.
It was racial minorities and mother-in-law jokes.
Exactly.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even as I'm sorry for hijacking your conversation, Perps. This is what I do. I'm sorry.
No. And this is what my stream does. You're not doing anything unusual for this, for the show.
I do. I'm literally. You can't see what I'm doing off screen. Don't worry, it's not rude. But I'm literally clenching my fists and digging my nails into my hand, and I'm looking at my mental yellow post-it note that reminds me, don't be a dick. I'm trying my best to be a good boy.
Yeah, but
this is
the conversation here just changes randomly. That's just
this
part
is
of
a
the show.
subject that, and Phoebes gets it. I know that she does. We were, and Jeff also gets this, but I keep saying up until 1982. But the humour, the mother-in-law jokes, the Irish, an Englishman, and all that crap, it was so tedious and boring. And so to bring it back round to Ben Elton, who I'm not praising in any way, that was the time when all that stopped, and we kind of grew up and tried to put that behind us. I think it's an important, monumental piece of history. But then again, I'm a dick, so
I actually do. I mean, he's a bit of a polarizing figure, but Stuart Lee's written some good stuff on like the history of the alternative comedy movement, which is it's good because I don't think anyone else has really written anything about the history of it.
When you say he's written some, are we talking books and stuff here? Or?
He's mentioned it in some of his books. He hasn't done like a whole book devoted to it yet, but I actually think he should.
Has he written books?
Yeah, he's written a couple.
I'm not.
At least I know of.
These are other people talking.
I think I would find that very fascinating if he's written things about what you just said, Jeff, about alternative comedy and blah blah. I would be interested to read that, to be honest.
Wait a minute, Phoebe, did you have to explain this to your partner? Because the concept that you could be on screen and other people could be talking seems so foreign.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Can you now explain it to me, Phoebes? Because I'm kind of reaching that point in life where this is like all voodoo now. What I remember, Phoebes and Jeff, sorry to you other lovely people, I'm not ignoring you, but as a kid, watching TV and my mum and dad being in hysterics and laughing at shit and I was not, when I say a kid, I'm talking like 7. It wasn't funny. It quite simply was not funny. I just never got it. I don't find it funny to say, let's laugh at these people because they're not English.
Yeah.
I mean, there are ways to do it that could be funny, but it was just so boring.
A lot of
and
American
tiresome.
humor is based in the racism too, and I never got that. Well, it's the whole thing about punching down. Making fun of minorities just doesn't fly.
Yeah. I mean, this is a contentious thing because there is a way to laugh at people, but there's a wrong way to do it. I mean, comedy is basically laughing at other people, but there is a line and you don't cross it. Do you remember the comedians, Phoebes and Jeff? The TV show, The Comedians?
Yeah. Oh, thankfully, it was already off the air by the time I was growing up, but I am aware of some of the people who were on there. I know Bernard Manning was quite a regular, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So was
the thing I remember about that was, when you're a kid, you don't get to choose what you're watching on TV. And so I would sit there with my mum and dad and watch this awful show. And this was pre-alternative comedy. And in those days, a comedian didn't write or create jokes. They just
performed jokes.
Did what, sorry?
They just performed the jokes.
That's correct. They performed jokes that that hadn't come from their own heads. There was a list of jokes that they told. And the thing about the comedians, which it was a half-hour show, so on ITV, on commercial television, that would be 17 minutes of television. And here's a comedian, he does his jokes, here's the next one, he does his jokes. And it was edited so badly that you would see different comedians telling the same fucking joke on the same episode. Because, yeah, I mean, there was no creativity, or it was so bland and boring. I'm boring you, I'm so sorry. I actually feel really fucking strongly about this. Sorry.
But here's what makes me laugh.
Of course, we're in a whole nother thing too, that, you know, comedy that works for most people comes across very different to autistics a lot of times.
This is very true, yeah.
To start with, we tend to take things way too literally to begin with. And we tend to overanalyze things. So it's like, yeah, the jokes that people laugh at will tend to find a hole that it doesn't quite fit together.
That's a very important thing, because I learned the hard way that because I was hopelessly ignorant about the subject of autism, not because it's not an important thing, I just didn't know certain things.
Well,
and I had to have it pointed out to me
really until fairly recently.
I
mean,
had
even
to have
through the 90s, most people didn't know what it was.
I think it may have been you, perhaps, or I forget now. It was a few years ago. But somebody had to point out to me why a certain person who I will not name, is a good person that we all know, I didn't understand why that person didn't understand a humorous thing I'd said. And it had to be explained to me, because I didn't know that this person was on the scale. And
yeah, again, he was taking things rather too literally, so he wasn't getting your jokes.
And wasn't understanding the humor. And I had no idea that that was a thing. So my bad, but I learned a lesson from that. And hopefully I tend to fail, but hopefully I've learned a lesson, and I'm trying to be a better person. Always important to learn.
Yep. Okay, yeah, this is the basic key to humor, to telling a joke. Is a joke supposed to build up suspense? It's supposed to, you know, induce a mild stress in the listener. And then the punchline is supposed to release that stress, and that's why people laugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so it's supposed to be a surprise ending that people are kind of relieved that whatever it was that they were stressed about isn't a big deal.
That's a good analysis. But that's not how it works, was it, Jeff and Phoebes? I think Phoebes is now being sick.
No, I don't.
Told you.
I mean, yeah,
that's not how it worked in the old style of British humour, was it,
no,
Jeff?
I mean,
because there was no suspense. I mean, we knew the punchline.
No, I mean there was some decent comedy before.
You knew it before he opened his mouth.
Oh, good lord!
Yeah, if the punchline is too obvious, you're just kind of sitting there waiting for them to get it over with.
Yeah, exactly. And that goes back to what I was. That goes back to what I was saying. Sorry, Phoebes, because I never understood as a kid why were my mum and dad rolling around on the floor laughing when me as a 7-year-old knew what the fucking punchline was going to be anyway. I mean, what the fuck? How is that fun or funny?
Yeah. By the way, just for Americans, who lack any context, Jim Davidson is like a British version of Satan. Just, you know, it's the best way I could describe him.
Well, I have to say that probably my sense of humor was influenced more than it should have been by Monty Python. Because since it was on since it played on the PBS station, it didn't occur to anyone that this was something that a 9 or 10-year-old shouldn't be watching alone.
I will never listen to an American until they can pronounce the title of that show correctly. Are you with me, Phoebes? Are you with me on this one?
Monty Python Flying Circus.
I think somebody needs to mute.
Doc,
Monty Python.
Rustling from you.
I'm not rustling. Look.
Yeah, Doc, I think we had some kind of rustling sound coming from you because I saw your circle flashing when
I think this would be a wonderfully interesting topic of conversation that you know, if things weren't so shit in my life right now, I would do a stream about this, and I would invite Phoebes on as my special guest, because I like how Phoebes, and you, Jeff, as well. I like how Phoebes and Jeff get my references.
Yeah.
And they've got a memory, and they understand things that I think are important that maybe most Americans don't give a crap about.
Yeah, Dave makes a good point here too, that autistics often use sarcasm a lot, but often miss it when other people use it at them.
Yeah, that's a very true thing. That really relates to what I was saying earlier. I'm not going to say it now, but you know, when you're not live, I'll tell you about this, because it was an eye opener for me. I had no idea. I felt like such a piece of shit that I was not aware of this fact.
Yeah.
This is why a lot of jokes don't transfer well on sort of platforms like Twitter and stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah, and Twitter is not just jokes, Jeff, but I mean, Twitter is basically, here are some words. There's no context, and
well, I'm
you've
sure
got emojis, but whatever.
I'm sure most of you here are familiar with that Twitter account, Pastor Alex, which is quite clearly a troll.
Yeah.
And if in the space of one day, he successfully managed to troll both Gary Lineker and Eric Idle. Both interactive. I think Eric Idle started to tweak that it's a.
This is hilarious, because to me that's wonderful British humour, because sarcasm is not a thing that translates well, not just via text, but across the pond. There's something about Americans, they don't quite get it. And Pastor Alex, I think it was only 3 days ago, he was getting grief by an American person, which is hilarious.
I have to say, it did take me a while to catch on to that one.
The people, this is the wonderful thing about, what's the word I'm looking for? Not satire, irony, whatever, was that the people responding to this tweet, mostly British, who they played along with it. and that's what we do, and that's when we're, damn it, I'm being patriotic.
Well, I think it's I don't think it's necessary just to. I mean, there's people that are in on that joke, and there's people that aren't in on the pastor. Because it took me. I must say the first couple of tweets I saw from that account, I was like, what? And it took me. Yeah, it took me a few tweets to realize. Okay, this is some really, like, this is trolling when trolling's done right, and it's done in a very good and funny way. It's sort of fairly harmless trolling, really.
I don't think you need to be in on the joke per se. To me, it's very obvious when somebody's just, doing what they do.
I think the one that gets everyone is the thing on the on the profile. It says $100 per prayer.
Yeah,
that's one that gets everyone. And I've even got it on the fund a couple of times recently. I said, well, to be fair, he hasn't put up the price of prayers despite inflation at the moment. So I think that's quite a noble thing to do personally.
I did notice that tweet, Jeff. I do pay attention. But that's what you've got to do. And I know that you understand this, and Phoebes does as well. And obviously, maybe some of our American chums here on screen. But that's what we do. And I maintain this belief. And I sound like I'm not fucking Mr. Patriotism or whatever. I do believe that we've got a knack, British people, of knowing how to do that kind of humour. And amongst ourselves, we get it. But once it doesn't translate very well across the pond or whatever. That's why I get in so much fucking trouble on the Twitters and on the YouTubes, because clearly I'm not being serious when I say that thing.
Yeah, I will say, I should find the tweet and actually tag you still, because there was a tweet by Cunt and the Gang, and I just thought it sounded like the sort of tweet that you would make.
Damn it! You've just reminded me to do something. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah,
because I've got a new account. Totally forgot to.
It made me like I meant to tag you because I thought this is like the kind of tweet you would make, the sort of joke you would make.
Was it a bit of a cunty tweet?
It was basically asking like what's the proper allowed length for time you allowed to before you're allowed to wank again. What is it?
Oh my gosh, I would totally have done that.
Yeah, I saw that, and that was like that sounds like the sort of joke Still would make.
That's definitely comedy. I approve of that. Also, I'm not being swallowed into the devil's realm here, but it's all of a sudden gone very dark. I will correct that shortly. But yeah, that I think that's interesting, Jeff, because humour. We are allowed to joke about recent events, as in what has happened recently in this country. We're allowed to joke about that, of course we are.
Yeah.
But there is a line. There really is a line.
You Keir Starmer.
Even if you don't agree with traitors like Thebes.
Here's the thing, though. I don't give a fuck if I ruin it for other people.
I'm mentally flicking through my post-it notes in my head, and I'm going to tentatively invent an idea whereby Thebes and myself have a heated debate. I love that term. 10 internets to either Jeff or Thebes, who is the first to tell me who I'm referencing when I use the term, let's have a heated debate.
That's annoying me because I've heard that. I'm like, that's annoying me now.
I totally love that term because it's so patronizing, but it was hilarious. But feel free to Google, which Thebes is clearly doing right now.
Well, Thebes will beat me then because I don't have I'm on my phone, so I can't really do the Googles at the moment.
It was Mrs. Merton.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
It was Mrs. Merton. Does anybody...
She was fantastic, Carolina Hearn.
Remember the day today?
Oh, yes, Chris Morris and Steve Coogan, yeah.
That was a classic. Oh, my gosh. It is a classic.
It is classic. So the day today was great. Does anybody remember game show television in the 90s?
What's that? What's that?
Game shows in the 1990s.
Oh gosh,
yeah.
I do, yeah.
Oh, not only do I remember them, but there is now an entire game show network that does nothing but replay those. And yeah, that's one of the things.
We got one called Challenge that does that.
Yeah.
So do I
think Slothgurl's not feeling well and she just needs stupid stuff to watch? She still rewatches some of those old game shows.
Perps.
They're much of a game show person.
I need to interrupt this broadcast. I have breaking news. Hopefully you can't hear this. Oh my gosh.
No, I can't make it out.
There's a church nearby and it's doing its thing. What time are we on, Jeff?
7:30.
25 to 8, sorry.
It's doing its thing.
Yeah. You know, one place where I lived many years ago, I was actually wondering if I could have brought a lawsuit against the Catholic Church for waking me up every Sunday morning with their bells. Because to me, that fell under the description of disturbing the peace in the city ordinance.
I never be woken up by a large bell. Just going to say that.
So here's
unfortunately, I lived about 2 blocks from the church, so the thing was booming.
But do either of you two remember the National Lottery when it had the game show built into it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, vaguely. I sort of stopped watching it, so.
We had something like that over here. That they made a game show out of picking the numbers. out of the machines with the ping pong balls to pick the numbers. That they did a whole game show that, people kind of like won the honor of pulling the ball out of the machine type thing.
The worst thing is when that started, you remember Mystic Meg?
Oh,
Mystic Meg and Skeptic Peg.
Yeah. What it was, when we first started the National Lottery, they had this quote unquote psychic on there to tell us who would be winning the lottery. Like, well, I thought if you were really fucking good, you'd tell us the numbers.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm going to dip out.
I
now.
won't call a
Bye,
psychic.
everyone. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right.
Yeah, I would never call a psychic. If they're any good, they'll know when to come to me.
But dish.
Well, my psychic powers are saying they're going to die a horrible, horrible death. Oh, wait, no, that was the last guy. Wait, okay, it's coming. All right, you're going to die a horrible, horrible death.
Well, now, see, I'm psychic, but my dyslexia keeps getting in the way, so I can only predict things in the past.
Yeah, I remember there was this British comedian called Paul Merton. He's probably best known for being on one of these like panel quiz shows, but he used to do his own like sketch shows, and he did one on a where he played this really world-renowned psychic. But just played everything so deadpan. When people would come in to see him, he'd just have a filing cabinet full of everyone's full of all these different people's futures and stuff.
I think you just used an important word though. Sorry, carry on. Sorry.
Yeah, he some guy come in to see him or whatever about what his prediction was, what was his future held, and he got the file that says, "Oh, bad news to you! You're gonna die. You're gonna get a terminal illness and die next year." And the guy was like, I can't take this anymore, whatever, and then threw himself out the window. And then Paul Merton was like, "Oh, darn, I've got the wrong file here. It says you commit suicide by throwing yourself out a window." So it was just done very. I can't do it justice. It's the way the guy delivers it.
That's correct. It's the delivery and the word that you used there. I don't know if this word. Yeah, is that a word that resonates with you, perhaps, in America land?
Yes.
Deadpan.
Yeah, deadpan humor, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think Jeff
crikey,
just nailed it there.
Well, crikey, the Americans had Lenny Bruce, for goodness sake. They know deadpan humour.
Yeah. It's not a term that I don't tend to use it, but I know what it means.
Bob Newhart's a good example. Is very deadpan. American comedian is very deadpan.
Yeah. He was good. But there is an art to delivering that kind of humour in a deadpan style. And it does confuse an awful lot of people. And it baffles me how people just don't twig, how they don't get it, that you're not being serious. But then again, we've just talked about how some people can't. Some people take things literally, and they haven't got the ability to sort of differentiate.
Well, I mean, probably one of the best people who does that sort of style as British stand-ups now is probably Stuart Lee.
He is
and he is good because there is but he's one of those guys. Though there's a point in this show where he will just do this thing where he keeps repeating himself and he will do it to the point where even like if you're an ardent fan of his, he will drive you to the point where you are getting nuts. You're about to get pissed off with him and say, "Well, you get to the fucking point," and then he will just drive you to that point. And then but generally though, when the punchline comes, it's really good.
You see, you're basically describing my personality here, Jeff, because I've got that wicked thing inside my head. I will do that. I'll keep repeating over and over and over until it winds people up the fucking wall.
Okay, Dave, I have
do
to
it
say,
because it's funny.
If I had the psychic power that I could predict the lottery numbers, Now, see, you can't keep claiming it yourself, so you hire someone different to collect it each time. This also helps with tax purposes. See, so you would never know it was the same person who kept winning it.
I saw a clip, a very old clip, a few days ago. I can't remember why I saw it. It was from the 90s, changing subject completely here. And it was an American guy who'd won the lottery, a hell of a lot of money. And so the local TV news asked him, they came along and said, could you recreate the scene when you won? And he goes to the thingamajig and pretends to buy a lottery ticket, whatever. And he won again. I mean, that's funny.
I heard somebody who basically uses his chickens to predict the lottery numbers. They put calculators down on the ground, spread feed on them, and the chickens just peck at the calculators. And they've won several times, apparently.
Jeff, what was the name of that creature? Was it an octopus?
I was about to say that the octopus that predicted all the results of the Soccer World Cup. What year was that? Germany in 2006. I can't remember, but it's this big thing here. They're this octopus or whatever, and it successfully predicted all the results
I can't remember all the details.
Yeah,
I can't remember all the details about the octopus because, despite being one of the world's leading experts on the football, and Jeff knows that I know football. Well, I gave you a crash course, but you've really stepped up to become you should be doing Lineker's job, quite frankly. I'm so good at sports, Pubs.
Okay, and you're talking about the football that they use the volleyball for, not the squash ball.
Yeah, that's
the
one.
egg hand.
Actually, I'm not going to start an argument on this one, but as you know, people and Jeff, I tend to have LBC on the radio all the time, and the outrage porn that they peddle is just fucking insane, and a lot of people are getting very upset because the football's been cancelled. Oh.
Yeah, I saw that.
I as you know, still I sometimes listen to LBC, but I pretty much only listen to O'Brien, and occasionally I'll listen to a bit of Sheila Fogarty.
Mm-hmm. It's this is one of my problems. I've tried my best to find better things to listen to, and it's very difficult in this country. I don't want to listen to permanent music. I like the speechy talk stuff, and there isn't anything really out there that I've found anyway. And so LBC, it's 90% of LBC is basically outrage porn. It's the Daily Mail on the radio, but there are some good things on there.
Yeah,
as you said, O'Brien, obviously, and Sheila.
And that's the funniest thing is that the most of the people on there are right wingers. Yet the most popular guy on there is James O'Brien, he's got the most popular show on there by a long way as well. Massively. And he's a bit more to the left. I mean, he's not really far left or anything at all.
No, I mean he's not there pushing. He's not doing the bullshit Daily Mail propaganda nonsense.
It's funny
though. If you listen to Nick Ferrari,
the radios and that, they always hire the fanatically right-wing people because those are the ones who generate the most arguments.
That's it,
and that drives more ratings.
You've nailed it. That's exactly what it is, and
this is a good thing about O'Brien. This is the good thing about O'Brien, though, is that he gets these really, quite often gets these really awful right wing callers coming on and having a rant, and he just absolutely wrecks them, and it is beautiful to watch when he does.
But you know, the thing I always think about is that the radio stations hire these shock jocks, you know, and they play them during that time when people are getting off of work and driving home. And you don't think that this is fueling some of the road rage?
It is. It's absolutely fueling rage, whether road or otherwise. It absolutely is. You know, I think I alluded to this yesterday when I tried to stream, that the British people or the English people are utterly fucking brainwashed with this drivel. But it's not as... It is more subtle than your Fox News. It's subtle, which, in my opinion, makes it more fucking dangerous.
Apart from GBBs, which is not subtle at all.
That's not subtle. No, it's not. But the funniest thing about that one, well, it's not funny, it's not important, but they sacked Darren Grimes, and I think that's hilarious, but whatever. I'm not a huge... This is not a secret. Jeff knows this. I'm not a huge fan of fucking lying grifters. If you're going to monetize your bullshit, you know, by appealing to a certain section of society, and by that I mean the fucking racist fuckwits, then fuck you. You're a dick.
Yeah. Well, to me, that's a lack of ethics. If you're willing to promote something that you know is negative just to make money, that is unethical.
Correct. I like you used the perps of the word ethical. I hadn't thought of using that word. It's extremely unethical.
Yeah, you are actually doing something that makes society worse.
Correct.
Just so you can get a couple of bucks.
You're doing it for short-term profit because your grift is not going to last forever.
Mm-hmm.
It really won't. When they tire of you, they will not give you money for your made-up opinions.
Well, I mean, it's a good example of that is, you talk about like right-wing grifters or whatever. What guy I always think of is that Milo Yiannopoulos.
Oh, yeah.
Now, yeah, I mean, because like he was like, I mean, you know, I mean, he was like getting like a big. I mean, like Steve Bannon practically made him, didn't he? You know, and then he kind of, when he fell out with all the, when he sort of fell out with Bannon and all that, it was, because here's the thing about Milo Yiannopoulos, right? He was like this openly gay guy, right? That they could basically, tokenize. Had all these right-wing opinions or whatever, but he just happens to be openly gay, and of course they absolutely tokenized him because of that.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with the word that you just used there, Jeff, but I would be hesitant to use that word. If I was to use that word on the Twitter, I would probably get grief, but I agree with you. And this is
I
what
don't
they
have any
do.
problem with it. It's like what Blair White's doing to the trans people.
I don't know if that word has negative kind of racial connotations. I'm not sure. But you're correct, because Jeff, this is absolutely what they do. Whether if you're a minority, I use that word hesitantly. If you're a person of color or a gay person or whatever, they will use you and they will tokenize you, and you know you'll make a lot of money.
But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. What's happened with Milo is that he sort of he was no longer useful to the likes of Bannon and whoever, and they dropped him like a bad habit. So what Milo Yiannopoulos' grift is now is that he is going around to all the evangelical churches, claiming about. Talking about how he's a reform. I was feel dirty saying this term out loud, but I'm just going to say this is the term that Milo Yiannopoulos describes himself as now: a reformed homosexualist.
Yeah, because that's a thing.
So all these,
Like a
so all these,
homosexualist?
yes. That's
Okay,
so
I
so
say
he's going round to every one of these like to the sofas
I
of every one of these televangelists who will have him on. So
I
that how he's
say
yeah.
absolutely without qualification that I've been in the LGBT community since the early 80s and I have never heard that word before.
Yeah.
I've heard it, and it's one of those words, unfortunately, that has become part of the language, even though it's not a real word.
Yeah, maybe it's
Yeah.
only a thing in Britain then.
Oh, there are lots of those things.
Oh no, this is what I was saying. He's going around to all the American televangelists who are billing him that way, and
Yeah.
how he's and it's almost
Mm.
kind of hilarious when you've got this guy saying that how how he's no longer gay and whatever, and has done like conversion or therapy or whatever. And he's grifting off the evangelicals now. That's basically what Milo is doing.
It's such an obvious
and
grift.
the hilarious thing is, when you see him sat there on the sofa, we're talking to one of these like televangelists. If you were ever going to point, if you ever saw anyone who looks like the absolute old-fashioned stereotype of a gay man, that's kind of how Milo looks.
Well, I'm
so
sure that
funny.
he purposely acts the stereotype that he thinks they're expecting. That's part of the grift. You have to act the character.
Correct. Yeah. What I find kind of funny is that we were talking earlier. We mentioned Brass Eye and the day-to-day, whatever, and hilarious, obviously. But what you've got now in modern day, that life has become a parody. GB News could be a fucking sketch from 30 years ago.
Yeah.
The grifters that we're talking about. In this country, we're kind of new-ish to this. America has had this phenomenon for about 200 years. It's culturally part of society, the grift.
Yeah, but also
it's
people
accepted.
like that are also still quite dangerous because,
Insanely
while he may
dangerous.
be getting the money from the fanatical Christians at this point, he's getting the money by reinforcing their beliefs about gays.
Yeah,
it's immensely dangerous.
It's
immensely
dangerous
because
everything that generates the hate, and that the gays don't have to be like this; they can decide not to be.
If you look at one of our latest,
and like you were saying earlier, Purple, because it's just what it was what you said. Milo Yiannopoulos has does not have any ethics. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah. Well.
He does know what he's doing, and that's I am 100% in agreement with Perps on this, and you, Jeff, and you other lovely people. It's not funny. It isn't a joke. This is serious shit. If your grift targets a certain fucking section of the population, and if they believe you're a fucking grift, they're going to do really stupid. They're going to act on your words. And this has been proven time and time and time again. We don't have many murders. No, we don't have many gun shooty things in the UK. Look how they happen, and they now have a fucking manifesto, for fuck's sake. And who are they quoting? They'll be quoting people like whatever the latest grifter is.
Yeah,
it's dangerous shit.
I like what Dave said here, that I've set off people's gaydar all my life, and just the last 2 years I realized I'm queer. And I've had something like that. I've had people calling me ma'am all my life, and it was only last year that I came out as trans. So there are something about it that there are things that you broadcast you know, in your mannerisms that people will pick up on.
I've got to do a rude. I'm really sorry. This is a massively interesting conversation, and I'm so grateful that you've let me play. Jeff, you're awesome. Phoebes is not here, so please don't tell her. I also think she's awesome. But this is the kind of conversation that I enjoy.
Yep.
Partly because I'm not outnumbered by the Americans, and people understand what I'm talking about without me having to explain it necessarily. That to me is a big deal. Love you, Jeff. But let me finish my point.
Okay, yeah.
I'm doing the thing. This church bell thing is really fucking weird. It's very weird. I'm not complaining about it, but it is surreal as fuck. I wish you could hear it.
We do hear it.
Yeah, we hear the bells.
Can you hear it?
Yeah, it's faint, but we can hear it.
It's surreal, and I'm not necessarily complaining about it because it is just surreal. I'm not anti-church bell. But anywho, my point was, if this thing is still going, I'll rejoin, but I really need to do something now, and it involves me going outside, and there will be peoples out there, perps. So.
Okay, well, I am planning to end this in about an hour because
I
have a therapy appointment after that.
Oh my gosh, good luck. I've got to rush. Hopefully I'll be allowed back in. I hopefully have looked through my mental post-it notes and haven't done a bad. If I said anything bad, I'm so sorry.
I think you've been fine today.
Today. Love you, perps. Yeah, oh, fuck you. Back in a bit. Love you all.
Yeah, Dave, I definitely knew you were autistic before you did. Pretty much from watching just like your first 2 or 3 videos, I picked that up. A doorknob head. Too bad Stool left before I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gaslighting him. Just pretend that we can hear it.
Yes.
Mage, you've been quiet for a while. I suppose because you didn't know much about British comedians.
Yeah, didn't really have much to contribute. Oh, I'm supposed to contribute now, huh?
Yeah. Well, I guess we've kind of run down in time for another topic.
Yeah.
So, right now, I have apparently been converted from being a chair to being a kitty bathtub.
Okay.
He is cleaning himself up. I'm just kind of getting the concept that my phone is also a camera, so that I actually have something on hand to take pictures of the cat when he's doing something cute. You know, this is like a new concept that I'm just kind of internalizing in the last month or so.
Just about all of my videos have been shot with my camera.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's taken me this many years to remember that I've got a phone in my pocket. I'm still not used to that concept entirely.
I was pretty amazed.
I grew up through the whole period that having a cordless phone in the house was a really radical thing that only the rich people had.
Well, I was pretty amazed when you could have the internet in my pocket.
Yep. Yeah, I'm not going that far. I've avoided letting my phone connect to the internet unless I absolutely have to. I don't need to carry the internet around all the time.
So for a browser I just loaded on my phone is I think it was called Kiwi browser. It seems to be pretty good.
Oh, you found something better than Chrome for the...
Oh, much better.
Okay, is that for Android?
Yeah, it eats up less RAM, and I can actually add extensions to it.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Chrome was pre-installed with mine, so I might be able to disable it. I'm not sure. I certainly cannot remove it.
Yeah, I didn't.
There's a whole bunch of shit that they put in there that I can never remove.
Yeah, I didn't remove Chrome. I just started using uploaded the other browser and started using that instead.
Yeah, well, it's just there's so many things that not only will I never use, but I absolutely would refuse to ever use. So it's like, why can't I get rid of these and free up the memory space?
There are ways. You have to usually sideload something that'll do it for you.
Yeah, I'm not even clear what the side load means in this instance, but
You plug the phone in and you'll load it manually instead of through the store. Normally you'd go through the Google Play Store or whatever you happen to be using, and you hit install. Well, instead you'd put a program into your phone, go to that program, and then install it that way. That's side loading.
yeah, what I really miss most is I used to have one of the old, slider phones that it would slide out and I had a physical keyboard for texting. And especially with the internet, I need that even more because touchscreens do not like me. I cannot type on them. The keyboards are so small that I'm never hitting the right letter. It's always like getting the letter above it or the one next to it. So, it's like, why can't I have a smartphone that actually has a physical keyboard?
Yeah, I struggle with that too, with the small buttons and the keyboards, but I really have no choice. I don't have a computer.
If there's one you can download, that would.
This is my only internet.
Yeah, I'm actually in the process of shopping for a tablet now. Just because with spending so much time at the cancer center and the hospital now, it'd be nice to have something I could carry with me at least to play games on. And again, with the phone, the screen is so tiny I can't read anything anyway. So I don't want to deal with that stuff on the phone. I want a big enough screen I can read it.
Yeah, I actually had gotten a tablet to use as an e-reader.
And that's definitely one of the things I want it for is to, have Kindle on it so I can start getting some books that way.
There's another one that's actually better than Kindle, I think. Remember it?
I just know most of the books on Amazon are listed on Kindle, and you can get them cheaper and sometimes even free if you get the Kindle instead of the physical copies. Yeah. Yeah, the BlackBerry was a more primitive version of a smartphone that had a keyboard. I certainly have no problem with primitive. I kind of like it most of the time.
It's called e-reader Prestigio. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Prestigio. Seems to be a better e-reader than
Prestigio.
Prestigio, that might be it.
Obviously, I have to wait, to get the car, and then the car is going to need all the paperwork of the title and license plates and such. So I'm not going to have money in a while, but I actually had Slothgurl shop for one for me for the tablet because I don't know anything about them. So she put one on my Amazon wish list, and maybe I'll be able to get it by Christmas.
How's the fundraiser going?
It's going pretty well. Actually, donations are still trickling in. So let's refresh this, and we're at $5,526.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Very good.
Yeah, I apologise that I can't be of any assistance right now on that because.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Well, and it's part of the reason. Uncle Beck had to start the fundraiser for me. I couldn't do it myself. And a big part of that was because I know that half the people in this community have less money than I do.
Yeah.
most of us are broke. I'm well aware of that. Most of us are struggling just to, cover basic expenses. And you people in the UK, I've heard all about what your energy bills are doing now.
Oh yeah, I mean, Europe and on the whole is pretty bad, but I think Britain's been hit harder than anywhere else.
They jacked up my electric bill here in Florida by 40%.
Yeah, my electric bill has close to doubled, from when I moved in here 2.5 years ago. And I was looking at it, for like June and July. And while it said I actually used fewer kilowatts, I was actually paying almost twice as much.
I was glad I was able to help raise some money for you in other ways.
Yeah, well, obviously, yeah, the vehicle's the big issue for me right now. Unfortunately, the pandemic, during the pandemic, they were having trouble getting like the electronics to build new cars. So there weren't as many new cars being made, and it really drove up the price of the used cars to the point that now we're really having trouble finding anything that's even like a 10-year-old vehicle for under $10,000. Because we've got the 5,500 now from the fundraiser, and I had 2,000 that I had saved up for my transition expenses. So that's another thing that's being shelved indefinitely. That transitioning involves getting a lot of legal paperwork done. There's a lot of filing fees, and there's one stage of it that I may actually have to hire a lawyer for.
Oy vey.
So if anyone else can donate, please do.
Yeah, I pretty much expect everybody that's here already has.
Yeah, I did like a few days ago, I think.
Yep. Yeah, I saw. But like I say, things are still trickling in. Basically, we're just going to keep it open through this weekend, and then Beck's going to close it out, and we're going to get the money to my brother because he's the one picking out the vehicle for me.
So I was going to say, if it was going on for a few more weeks, I might be in a position to at least make a small donation.
Oh no, I gotta renew my registration. My car are coming up here too, so that's putting things into question.
It's getting to be a bit more of a push for me because we were supposed to be taking a road trip in October, which of course will require us to have a vehicle. It's a thing that my brothers like to do, a brothers weekend every year, and not sure how this is going to go this time. Two of my brothers, one of my brothers is supportive of the transition. One of them just doesn't really seem to care any, he's like completely neutral with it. But my eldest brother is the one who is the fanatical Christian in the family. So,
it's probably never going to get it.
Well, he hasn't accepted that I left the church, and it's like that was over 30 years ago. And every time that subject comes up, he acts surprised like it's new information.
Inconceivable.
Yeah.
I have seen that. With people that I know were brought up in sort of religious families, and when they've left, their families just still can't seem to accept that they've left.
Yeah. Well, so it's going to be rather interesting down there. That how's he going to deal with the idea that if he wants all of us to go out to dinner, I'm going to be wearing a skirt?
Deal with it.
Yeah. You know, it's kind of like those are the only nice outfits I have. Oh, yeah, Dave, that's getting onto Social Security is a huge, annoying struggle process.
Being on it's a huge, annoying, struggle process too.
Yeah. But yeah, the initial thing of getting approved. And I will tell you that, you know, literally in 50 years, I have only heard of one single person who got approved on the first round.
I got approved on the first round.
Okay, well then two. But you know, most people have had to appeal it and usually didn't get it approved until the second or third appeal. So yeah, you know, they probably turn you down the first time, and don't let that discourage you. You just have to go through the process and get it heard by someone else. Actually, Skits, I did find a pair of purple stretch jeans that make my ass look fabulous, and I do have a blue top to go with them. Yeah, my budget for new clothing has restricted me to the thrift store, but you know, go every week. Sometimes I get lucky. Occasionally, you even find things that have all the original tags on. So it's like, yeah, somebody bought this, but they didn't really know what their own size was, so they never wore it.
That happens.
Yeah, you have some stuff that I've never really worn. And in the giveaway box I've been putting aside.
Yeah. Well, when I broke up with my ex, I had a bunch of that because it's like, you know, she wanted to give me a style that just wasn't me. So it's like she was buying stuff she thought I would look good in, and there was stuff that I just wasn't going to wear. Oh. Okay, well, are we just kind of running down? Should we just close it out here for the day?
Yeah, we could.
Sounds like a plan.
Up to you.
Jeff, you got anything coming up you want to plug?
No, I won't plug anything because I don't know when I'm really going to be back on again. I've been taking a bit of a break recently from doing any videos or streams. So yeah, I don't know when I'm going to be doing anything again. So.
Okay. Well, Doc, good to have you with us again. It's been a long time, so hope we see you popping in more often.
Good to hang with you guys again. It's always fun.
Mage, you have anything coming up?
I've just been working on my fall-winter garden planning, and that actually might turn into a planting video since I might be planting out today if I can find my tags. So
you're going to be putting some things in the ground that are going to winter over?
Oh, I don't really have a winter, so it's more what I grow during the winter.
Ah. Okay, yeah, you just have a cooler season. It never really freezes down there.
Yeah, my planting season for winter is kind of like everyone else's summer, spring.
That's what I was thinking. That's probably like spring here.
Yeah.
So you don't get the
cheater.
Yeah. You don't have to worry about the stuff underground freezing.
Yeah, exactly. So I get to plant all my broccoli, carrots, and all that good stuff that would normally not grow, but grows everywhere else.
Yeah, in Iowa, everything's wet, so in the winter, everything freezes.
Yeah. Actually,
We've been
around
having-
Cold
2000.
enough.
Yeah, around 2000, and this is another thing that I cite for climate change. Minnesota actually revised the building codes for how deep you have to plant underwater water lines. That it had previously been only 4 feet. And now they're saying that, yeah, to make sure they don't freeze, code requires you to put them down 7 feet. Because that's how far they've been recording frost.
Interesting.
We've just been going the other way here. We've been having noticeably milder winters in the UK, but
yeah,
We have been
more
having
mild here
milder
too.
winters. Yeah, we've had milder winters here lately too.
I think the winters here have gotten a bit shorter, but they're still. They have been milder as far as the last couple of years. We have not had nearly as much snow as we should have had. And it's like, while people have been cheering about this, that, that we don't have the really heavy snowfalls, they're not seeing the connection that, yeah, we don't have the really heavy snowfalls. And that's why in July we're having the drought.
Yeah,
because without that melt runoff in the spring, the aquifers don't get refilled.
I'll tell you what, you would think we very rarely get snow in my part of the UK. It's like once every 2 or 3 years, maybe we'll get it. It's very rare. I mean, obviously, a bit further up north, places like Scotland, they get quite regular sort of snow. But this is the thing: you'd see the snowfall here, and you'd think it was absolutely. Just think how absolutely pathetic it is when we all grind to a halt when we get nowhere near, because we're just not prepared for it. And to you guys, it'd be a light dusting of snow. It'd be like
that's what happened in Texas last winter.
Yeah. I get that if it's an area that you're not prepared and they don't have the equipment to clear the roads.
Yeah, like when we do get what we would call a heavy snowfall, which you wouldn't at all. It just grinds everything to a halt here because we're just simply not prepared for it.
Yeah. The other thing that I've really noticed here more than anything is like the timing of our seasons is messed up.
Yeah, everything's like pushed forward a little bit.
Well, it's like winter is actually like starting a month later, and summer is starting a month sooner.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I mean about the winters are just getting shorter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like the heat wave we had in June is something that we shouldn't get until the end of July.
Yeah, and like, shouldn't it be a little more like autumny? I mean, I am seeing some orange leaves, but I mean, like, I'm also seeing foliage just like grow and flourish and getting thicker and thicker all the time.
Yeah,
so I don't look.
A lot of times
leaves haven't changed colours yet, but we are starting to get noticeably a bit more rainfall now. The last couple of weeks.
Yeah, well,
we had
a
drought,
Yeah, it used to be that seeing some of the trees getting the orange and red leaves, wasn't uncommon for this time in September or even the first week of September. And hadn't really thought about that till Doc mentioned it, but all the trees here are completely green. I don't see any colors at all.
Yeah, I've got a little bit of yellow and orange here and there, but otherwise, like, the foliage in this area I hang out in has just been getting thicker and more lush.
I'd say it is normally October that you start seeing it like a proper autumn. It's more, you start seeing like the acorns and chestnuts and whatever falling from the trees and stuff. So
oops, we lost Doc.
So the reason that I had to rush was because in this backwards place where I live. The shop closes at 9 p.m. Yeah. And I had to buy myself a little doodle.
What you got there?
I don't know what the kids call them. It's a vaping thing.
Oh, a vaping pen?
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
I ought to try and get on them and get off the cigarettes, really.
Well, I had two choices, Jeff. Bearing in mind I have no money, it was either buy real cigarettes, and the cheapest,
they're about £10 now, aren't they, for the cheapest one?
£10, yeah. JPS.
Oh, I saw a great troll on Twitter. Somebody just had a picture of a cigarette, and they said a natural plant-based alternative to get kids off of vaping.
Yeah.
So choice number one is do it the old-fashioned way and pay 10 quid for 20 cigarettes, which, let's be honest, are not going to last me very long. Or buy one of these for 6 quid. And the only difficult decision was, what flavour should I get? So I actually talked to a human.
Yeah.
And asked for advice. That will shock you, perps.
Asking for advice? No. No, I did not feel you were one of those He-Man people that won't do that.
Talking to a human.
Ah.
Literally, I can't express how surreal this situation is because the church bells, obviously, when I go outside, they're a lot louder.
Uh-huh.
It is so weird. Really.
Yeah.
Do you guys also have government officials bitching about flavored e-cigarettes? It's like they have in the US here, claiming it's targeting
Not
kids.
Really. There was something about that a couple of years ago, but they seem to have shut up about that now.
They do target kids in this country. I think it depends where you live, Jeff, because what I noticed at the previous place was that these things are sold and advertised very prominently in fast food places and what have you.
Yeah, unfortunately they do, and getting teenagers to start the habit is just not a good thing.
Whereas the place that I just went, they do things correctly, and all these things are behind a locked door, so the shop person has to unlock the door, which is how it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, limited
pretty
access
much,
so they can check IDs.
I mean, like all of our cigarettes now, they're all in plain black packets, right? There's no advertisement, and they're all cut behind sort of locks. They're not on public display anymore with cigarettes, and I mean, in some vape stuff's on display. I mean, you go to obviously specialised shops that sell the vape stuff, because you've got a lot of them around. But
yeah, but cigarettes are a different thing because in this country, you literally are not allowed to have them on display. They have to live behind a metal shutter, and you have to say, "Can I have something from behind the magic curtain?"
Not even visible.
Oh, they're completely hidden. They're not allowed to have them on display.
Yeah, here even where they have to have them locked up, they're in glass cases so that everybody can see the brands.
You're not allowed to display them, and you also can't distinguish between the brands anyway, because as Jeff just said, all the packaging has to be identical, so you could not spot the difference between one brand and another.
You couldn't, I mean, because I also remember there was a big corrupt because they originally stopped tobacco advertising in sports and stuff like that, and then of course notoriously Formula One bribed the last Labour government to get an exemption, because that used to be the majority of their sponsors was cigarette companies of the Formula One. So.
Well, yeah, they always tried to link them to the macho sports.
I don't want to do my usual disclaimer because it will make me a hypocrite, but please, viewers, don't even ever think
Yeah.
about taking up smoking ever.
Yeah, I would say that as a smoker.
Stool, it's good you say that. And, to this day, I say the reason I never smoked was when I was 15, my brother was in the Navy and he was home on leave, and we were standing in the hallway at my parents' house, and he was tapping down the packet and pulling a cigarette out, and he looked at me and he said, "Don't start. You can never get off these things." And he never, just to have him say anything seriously had an impact.
It's massively serious. I can't
It really
underestimate this.
Yeah, so
I've just
to this day,
demonstrated this.
I
had to
credit
go
that
to the
single
shop.
incident. Yeah, I credit that single incident when I was a teenager as why I don't smoke, why I never started smoking. Because I lived with people who smoked, all my life until I was about 30.
Unfortunately, it's another one of our British inventions, and we should never have invented it.
You didn't invent it,
Well,
you stole it from the natives.
Yeah, at least
when I say invent, you say steal.
See, I can remember. I mean, I think like cigarettes advertising on TV went quite in the 80s, but there was still cigars were still advertised. I mean, still remember the old Hamlet adverts.
Of course, yeah.
You probably remember that. We'll probably remember them. Happiness is a cigar called Hamlet. Remember?
Absolutely.
I think that's literally the last time tobacco was advertised on television in the UK.
Yeah, I can even remember that piece of music. It was a very iconic and famous set of advertising.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the composer. It's a famous bit of classical music.
Yeah,
they played it on piano, but
I know. We both know what we're talking about here.
It's frustrating me that I can't think of the piece of music.
I can't think what it's called, but I know what you're talking about. And most people of a certain age, if they were to hear those few bars of music, they wouldn't think nice composer. They would think cigars.
Yeah. Well, they would if they heard it. They wouldn't think that if they heard it played as an orchestra, but this was like a piano version of it, and you just heard that, and the thing you immediately would think of Hamlet cigars if you're of a certain age.
Well, that happens so often. It's songs that get used for commercial jingles.
Yeah.
That they play those commercials so much that then people only know the jingles. They don't know what the song originally came from.
Exactly.
Actually, I have that problem with a lot of Weird Al songs, that when I start hearing the opening music, I can only think of the Weird Al lyrics. I can never think of the originals.
I'm getting
quite well, sometimes the Weird Al ones, just to be honest, some of the Weird Al ones some of the Weird Al ones are better than the originals.
Has something happened, Jeff, that I'm not aware of? Because this bell thing is getting louder.
Yeah, it does seem to have gone on for quite a long time.
I'm totally hearing it.
Can you literally hear that? Because you should not be able to.
I can hear them clear as a bell.
That might be me if I've probably set something up wrong because I'm having computer problems. You shouldn't be able to hear that.
You got your noise filter on?
I'm just going to Google what that piece of music was and Hamlet adverts. I'll kick myself when I
The only good thing about that piece of music.
Jeff, don't do it, because then you'll be an earworm. You'll have it stuck in your head for days.
It's already stuck into our heads, perps. It's literally pre-programmed into our British brains, that piece of music. It's that iconic.
It's not Moonlight Sonata, is it?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, it was Bach there on a G string. Of course it was, but it was a jazz version. It was a jazz piano version of that. Of course it was. Yeah.
You said G string.
Yeah, one of the ones that's always stuck in my brain is still that song Anticipation. In the US was used for a ketchup commercial like in the late 70s. So yeah. I still associate that song with ketchup.
Well, I think it's an American song called "Over There." It's just got stuck in, but British people wouldn't know the original name of that song. But there's a website called GoCompare.com, and they've turned that into this like annoying jingle that gets stuck in your head that you could possibly imagine.
Mm-hmm.
That's the weird thing about like some of these advertisers, that they're deliberately designed to annoy you, but it sticks in your head.
Oh yeah, they don't care if they get a positive reaction or a negative reaction, as long as you remember the brand.
If you get a reaction, you remember it.
Kind of what they're doing with movies today.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that what you were saying, Mage, about the movies, that the studios, they definitely instigate a lot of the fights on social media just because it gives them free publicity for the movies.
Yeah, it
So
works.
yeah, if they can start a fan base arguing about something, that's great.
Yeah, it works pre-release, and then if the movie's crappy, then it doesn't carry out all the way though. Kind of like the Ghostbusters, the 2016 movie where they were saying, "Oh, they're just sexist because it's women," and Sony was actually deleting the legitimate criticism off of the YouTube comments, and just leave the racist and highlighting to highlight those.
See, I mean, the guy who he is engaging in a lot of these and like shooting people down at the moment is and I'm kind of, and in a way, I think it's good that he is, but like Neil Gaiman on Twitter has been, he's been bombarded ever since both Sandman and that like Lord of the Rings thing that he's been involved with recently, which I haven't watched, but where people are losing their minds about that.
I haven't seen Sandman yet.
Sandman's awesome.
I started trying to read some of the comics, but
yeah, Sandman. I mean, I think it would definitely. If you've read the comics, it would definitely help with a lot of the stories that are being told in this. But everybody lost their mind when a black actress was hired to play Death. And again, but this is the thing. I watched this, and the actress Kirby Hellback, she was absolutely brilliant. She nailed the character perfectly. She absolutely nailed the character perfectly.
Well, I'll have to see for myself.
I thoroughly enjoyed the Sandman series. I never did read the comics back in the day. I should have.
Yeah,
I never got around to it. But
they do. They do follow some of the. I mean, I do think my favorite episode of it was the one with Death in it, and then they did this. And they're based on a couple of like short. That's an episode that's based on a couple of short stories where one where he spends the day going around with Death and while she's working. And then the thing with the Hob Gadling story, which where he meets the guy up in the pub every 100 years for a drink.
Yes, that one's awesome.
And those are just lovely. I mean, they're lovely little standalone stories in the comics.
Give Major chance there.
I do kind of wonder. One thing is, why race swap the character in the first place?
Yeah.
For
why not?
Which instance?
Well, we'll use the Sandman. We'll use the Sandman, and for example, why race swap the character in the first place?
Why not? To me.
What does that add to the character?
Yeah, it's just pointless pandering. Sometimes it is just to cause the outrage.
It just seems they,
Yeah.
they know they're going to have
You know.
certain people who are not going to like that for either they're legitimately racist or it's not presenting the character in how they've pictured it in the print. So they're basically creating an uphill battle from the start. So why
it's
do it?
unfortunate that it isn't done just because the director thinks that this would be the perfect actor for this role, regardless of what their race or their gender is.
If they really wanted to properly represent death, they should have had multiple actors play death, and it'd be like the same sex and race of whoever's talking to them, and that's and to represent that's how everybody sees them.
Well, that was
that's the way Galactus is in the comics. They don't really do it, but it's stated that like any other alien, like a Skrull, looks at Galactus. Galactus to them looks like a Skrull. We look at Galactus; he looks like a human.
Yeah, well, that's like. Does anybody remember the old TV series Joan of Arcadia?
No.
I think I do.
Yeah, they did that. That every time God appeared and talked to her, it was a different person.
Yes. I did like that series. I thought that was pretty cool. Even if it's Christian mythology, I still like shows about mythology.
Yeah, that was a pretty good show. I liked the way they handled it. Oh. Did I kill the conversation with that? Well, actually, we were supposed to be.
Yeah, we were wrapping up
36 minutes ago.
Yeah, we were wrapping and Stool popped back in.
Yeah, Stool popped in as we were signing off, so then we started talking again.
That's okay.
And that's good. I mean, as long as we've got a conversation, I keep going.
Earlier, that was the 40-minute warning.
Yep. But yeah, actually, I do have to. Like I said, I know I had to wrap this up by 3:00, which is in 20 minutes.
Well, one good thing has happened. One good thing has arisen from this conversation. I've realised that all my settings. I'm annoyed that you can hear those bells.
Yeah.
Because you should not be able to. So I've just realised that all my settings to make myself sound like a sex god have gone. So I apologise to all my fans.
Well, I'm sure the problem is just that you can't, like put a soundproof backdrop behind you in the room you're in.
That must be maddening, dude. I am so sorry.
No, it actually isn't. I do not mind church bells. I'm okay with it. But I'm finding it to be very surreal because it shouldn't be happening at this time of day.
Yeah.
And I'd like to know what is happening in the world. So I'm thinking, has something else happened that I'm not aware of? Because this is so unusual and it's so loud.
I don't mind church bells most of the time. But when I lived 2 blocks from the church, and the Catholic Church would start ringing them at 6:00 on Sunday morning, that was a bit much. And I really felt that was a violation of the city noise ordinance, and I should have been able to file a suit about them waking me up every week.
I mean, I'm sure this is something to do with what's going on in the country at the moment, but which we covered to death earlier today. But I'm just thinking, Wednesday evenings does tend to, a lot of churches tend to hold services, don't they, in the UK on Wednesday evenings?
This is something very different because this church doesn't usually do this. And this has been going on for what? I don't know, 2 hours. So it's kind of weird.
Yeah, more than an hour that we've been hearing it here.
Yeah. Get that dig in there. I take the hint, don't worry. The thing is, every now and again, it stops and you think, finally. And then, bam, it starts again.
Maybe the church is being attacked by alien symbiotes.
What is bizarre is that there are actual human beings in that building pulling big pieces of rope.
They're already deaf.
at 8 p.m. on
And
a
they have
Wednesday
hunchbacks.
night.
They have it all automated nowadays on the
Yeah.
churches around here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, I think some of the bells are probably automated here, but mainly you still do have it all done manually. You know.
Yeah, Christians need that advanced technology to teach people about magic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, did you hear the incident when the hunchback fell out of the bell tower at Notre Dame? And he was lying there on the sidewalk, and a couple of guys walked up, and one of them said, you know, he seems familiar. And the other guy says, I don't know where he is, but it rings a bell.
Boom. I always wonder what the hunchback's been doing for the last 3 years.
That was a rim shot. Yeah, correct.
Yeah, I need to start getting more sophisticated and things like being able to add some sound effects here. But that would require me to actually
But to
learn
reference
some of the stuff and know what I'm doing.
to reference the earlier conversation though, Purple, that's still better joke telling than most British comedy in the 70s. So
Well, I appreciate the vote.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
And there was a volley of the smaller bells. We hadn't been hearing those
Dirty
before.
bastards. They lulled me into a false sense of security and then sneakily...
Okay. Personally, and I think it ties into my autism, but that's one of the things that really gets me the worst, is when a sound stops for a while and I start feeling relieved that's gone away.
Yep.
And then it starts up again.
Oh, I would be pissed, dude. I would be bouncing off those walls. I'd probably be at the top of that church by now, pulling those bells down.
Well, we will have to leave Stool with his bells here. Stool, did you have any last words before we sign off?
Yeah, this is weird. But hey ho, this is the time we're living in at the moment. And I'm not complaining. I actually quite like it, but it's annoying me that you guys can hear it. But I will fix this. I will amend this situation forthwith. Because I do get annoyed when you can hear that. This country it's turning into weird. I don't know what's happening. But anyway, to answer your question, Perps, thank you for letting me play. It's always a pleasure and an honor. And Jeff, I'm going to make this a thing. I'm going to make it happen. You and Phoebes and me, the 18. We will do a stream one day where we do total British, let's laugh at ourselves in a way that the Americans will not understand because they don't get our references. And so we'll talk about all that crap that went on in the 70s and the 80s and all that shit.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I need to thank all my supporters here. Greg Hartwick, who was my first Patreon supporter and longest running. Skitscrasher, who has been very generous with me and has donated to the car fund multiple times already. Ox was in here earlier. Don't know if he's still around, but Ox and Robert X, I appreciate, taking care of the moderating and bopping the spam bots for us. Dog, I don't know if Dog is still listening. He was trying to get in here, but wasn't able to get a good connection today. And Vonrek, the Lavender Lady, and Kitty. And I, like I said, I appreciate all of you helping me keep things going and helping pay the internet bill for me. So with that, we will bid you all adieu and catch you tomorrow night. Bye bye.
The swans are mine.
Yeah.
TTFN.